Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Prospect Corner here at the Hockey Writers. I'm your host, Matthew Zator, and as always, joined in by my two co-hosts now. 2 weeks. I had Peter last week, Dayton the previous week, but we've got the band back together. Peter Baracchini, Dayton Reimer. Dayton, how's it going?
Oh, it's great. Yeah. It's a little sad that the Saskatoon Blades aren't in the playoffs anymore. But it was great to follow them along through the season, and now there's so many other playoff races that I can focus on. Things are good. It's a good time to be a hockey fan.
For sure. Yeah, it's you got your Ottawa Senators could clinch a playoff spot pretty soon here.
Yeah.
So that's a bonus. Haven't had the Maple Leafs and the Senators in the playoffs together in I don't know. It's been a long time.
Oh yeah.
Unfortunately, the Canucks won't be. So that's the unfortunate part of it there. But yeah, it's exciting time still. Playoffs, of course, going on. The CHL, NCAA Frozen Four is this week as well. So lots of fun stuff coming up to cover. We got the under 18s also pretty soon as well. So that's going to be fun for the draft eligible guys. But we're going to start with some news today, and we'll start with the unfortunate first, and then we'll go to the next one. First one's Chaz Lucius. Unfortunately, has announced his retirement from hockey. Diagnosis of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and very young prospect still for the Winnipeg Jets. I played from the Manitoba Moose the last couple seasons. Very high end, 18th overall for the Jets. But he's been diagnosed with this joint disease, which affects the joints. It's something that he just can't play with. So I'll start with you, Peter. When you think about this, on a human level, it's really unfortunate for him, having to give up his dream of playing in the NHL and, future in that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, whenever you hear news like this, it's obviously, disappointing, and overall, considering the prospect or the impact that, Chaz Lucius would have had since being drafted and the potential that he could have had. It is, it is concerning, but I'm glad that, he's putting his health first and foremost ahead of everything else. That's the main important thing right now. Hockey is basically a second afterthought to, his well-being. And he had a lot of promise, a lot of potential, great speed. He had a fantastic shot. He was one of the a top prospect a few years back. And again, it's just unfortunate considering, but with the injury history that he's had and how he's missed a lot of games, I'm glad that he's putting himself for his well-being and his health first. That's the main important thing at this point. And hopefully that, he still stays with the game in some capacity or in some aspect down the road. He may not be able to play it, but I'm pretty sure there's a spot for him somewhere where he could, share his expertise, share his experience, and, still be a part of the game. Obviously, when you hear something like this, that's what you want the expectation to be, or not expectation, but you want players to stay close to the game as best as possible because they played it throughout to this point. Why not continue going forward? So, again, tough news to hear for Chaz Lucius, again, because of the impact or because of the high caliber prospect that he could have been, or the high caliber player that he could have been in the NHL. Was looking really great, but then again, with the injuries, it just became too much, and we fully understand that. And I assume all of you would say the same sentiment, that we wish him the best of luck in his career and his future and whatever holds for him. But tough news regardless in regards to Chaz Lucius's playing career.
Played for the Moose this season, 25 games, at 9 points in those 25. I played for the Portland Winterhawks in the WHL in 2022-23, also for the University of Minnesota. So U.S. National Development Team. Yeah, he had a good part. Unfortunately, didn't make any NHL games. Unfortunately, too bad. He couldn't have at least gotten to one. But yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully, there's coaching he can do. You've got lots of stuff in the game that he can potentially still be around it. Dane, you have anything to add to that?
Not really. I think Peter covered it really well. The only thing I'd add would be that it kind of reminds me of Cody Hodgson's situation from a number of years back, who he found out he had a degenerative muscle issue in his back. That was why he had all these back injuries. And he didn't find out until quite a ways into his career. And that, I remember reading a piece about how a doctor told him, it's like, I can't believe you're walking, let alone skating in one of the toughest sports leagues in the world. He could have risked massive injury and, life-altering complications. And he managed to be okay. He got, I would think he got lucky. And with Chaz Lucius finding out about this, he's making the right call. He's putting his safety and his health first, and he can have a long, happy, successful career in something else. And unfortunately, it won't be in hockey. And while that is, that's tough. That's something he's worked for his entire life towards. He at least is young. He has options, and I wish him the best in whatever path he chooses next.
At 21 years old, so quite young. Lots of future still for him. And I mean, he did go to university, so he probably does have some sort of degree or something from the University of Minnesota. So could maybe follow back on to what he was working at in there. So I wish him all the best. All right, let's move to Ivan Demidov, who signed his ELC and now will join the Montreal Canadiens for the rest of the season and potentially the playoffs. That looks like the Canadiens are en route to a playoff spot, so he could be playing in the playoffs too. Dayton, what do you think about this? I mean, Demidov leaving the KHL and now will be playing his first NHL game pretty soon here. What are your expectations for him? I mean, he's one of those guys that, of course, highly skilled. We all know how good he has been in the KHL. We've talked about it quite a bit. What do you see from him going forward here? Should they have high expectations to start this? He's not going to have to be a key player yet.
Yeah, I think you want to temper your expectations initially. He is, he's 18, 19 coming into the NHL. And he's going to be, I think, a fantastic playmaker, scorer, whatever. When he was drafted, he was compared to Patrick Kane in his ability to move the puck and shoot. And people were still trying to figure out, will he be better than Matvei Michkov? It's, I think there's a reasonable debate there. I think Michkov still has the higher potential, and he's got 58 points in his rookie season, a very good starting place, 24 of which are goals. I think Demidov could jump in and do some significant damage. I just wouldn't expect him to be like a 78 or a 70, 80 point guy in his rookie season. He's going to need some time to adjust to the NHL, to the North American game. But with the season winding down and the Montreal Canadiens not in a playoff spot, I think they'll be focusing on development and having fun and finishing the season on a high note. And with all the young talent in there, I think it could be a really, really good mix with everybody, especially when there's someone that dynamic who is added to it. So I could see him having a really strong season finish, and then we can temper our expectations for 25-26.
I mean, the Canadiens have, 4 points up on the Detroit Red Wings in the final wildcard spot. So they could potentially be playing in the playoffs. And
I guess so.
Demidov could be playing there. Their winning streak has really helped them out on a 5-game winning streak. The Red Wings still have a chance, and the Rangers, have a chance, and they're kind of falling off. But that's a pretty good guy to have in the first round of the playoffs too. Peter, what about you for Demidov? Expectations for this season? Next season we can talk all about that in the off season too. But just for the rest of this season and into the playoffs there.
I mean, having Lane Hudson in contention and possibly winning the Calder Trophy in a season where the Habs could be making the playoffs was, good enough as it is. You get Ivan Demidov coming over as the cherry on top, basically. I mean, that is absolutely an embarrassment of wealth, and all their top prospects making that jump and coming up right now. That is exactly what you want to see for the Habs. As Dayton said, tempered expectations. And I know Chris Johnson reported this too with his entry-level contract. A $525,000 bonus if he wins the Conn Smythe. I don't know about that just yet, but
I love that that's in there, though.
It could happen. I mean, he's going from KHL playoffs, which is basically, the best league outside of the NHL, coming over here, playing at the senior competition. Again, the adjustment is going to be there. He's got to get used to the North American ice. We know the skill set that he brings. We know how dynamic he is with his puck and his awareness and the ability to create space for himself and just be a threat with and without the puck. I think that this is a great addition for the Habs, and it literally is reminiscent to that of Cole Caulfield in that bubble when his collegiate season ended. He comes up and he scores and he makes his presence felt en route to that, Stanley Cup final, whether you want to call it that COVID shortened season, a legitimate season or not. Either way, they made the Cup final and Caulfield was on that roster at certain points. So, I think that this solidifies their middle six portion of the lineup for now. Obviously, Demidov is going to be a top line winger for the future. Get him accustomed, ease his way in. Don't put too many or too high expectations on him, like Dayton said, and just let him go out and have fun. Savor this, let him enjoy it, and then I don't think that he is going to win the Conn Smythe, but he is definitely in a spot to win the Calder Trophy next year. So you could have Lane Hudson and Ivan Demidov win that trophy back-to-back years as had prospects. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, definitely a great sign for Montreal that their prospects are starting to come up, and one of their other dynamic prospects as well that's going to go potentially a long run for them, because who knows what can happen. It's the playoffs, right?
For sure. And apparently my math is bad. It's 6 pieces. They're 6 points up, not 4. 6 points up on the final wild card spot. So they're going to potentially, they most likely will be playing the Washington Capitals in the first round, unless they can somehow get above the Senators. Possible. And they're 5 points back of the Sens for that other wild card. But yeah, it could be the Capitals. It'd be either the Capitals or the Leafs or the Lightning, depending on who wins that division. It's going to be fun to see Demidov potentially be in the playoffs and just a regular season too, because he is a very exciting player, and the Canadiens are a very exciting team with a lot of their young guys, and we'll see how that all plays out. All right, let's move away from the NHL and go into the NCAA and talk about the Frozen Four. And this is of course a tournament that's been around for a long time. And it has been a week or so since these teams were ready to be in it. And Denver and Western Michigan and Penn State and Boston University going head to head to try to get into the final. And both those games are on April 10th. So, Peter, who are you watching from the Frozen Four here? There's some draft eligibles in there. There's also some drafted prospects. And Denver's going for their second straight because they won last year. So who are you looking at?
I'm going right back to the potential defending champ, or, the defending champs right now, and the one going, or, trying to get that repeat championship in Zeev Boyum on University of Denver. I mean, this is a prospect that's starting to become potentially the top defender from that draft class right now. And we're seeing why. I think we're seeing going to be a bit of a competition battle between, the likes of Zane Parekh, Sam Dickinson, and Zeev Boyum. But last season to this season, Boyum is having all the accolades right now. I mean, you could add that Dickinson has an OHL championship, great, but Boyum is having excellent success at the junior level, World Junior Championship golds. already an NCAA championship, and he literally matches last season's production with 50 points. Fell just short of that with 48 in 40 games, but still well above a point per game defender on the back end with, the production that he has, the mobility, the smarts, the deceptiveness that he brings, the ability to win battles, the puck retrievals, the confidence that he has walking the line. He's just a dynamic force on the back end. And they're a main reason why Denver's back in this spot in the Final Four going for a second championship right now is because of Steve William. They're one of their star defenders, one of their star players. He's going to be one of those players that you're going to rely on big time. And he's going to be a factor going forward again with this team. Looking at the roster too, still pretty solid. Jack Devine, Aiden Thompson, Sam Harris. You look at some of the other prospects that are coming up too, like Hagen Burrows, like he got in 38 games. Obviously, you're going to look at all the veteran players on that team, and Bouillon is definitely going to be one of those guys to lead the charge.
Yeah, Bouillon was really good in the final last year as well. So, he's definitely, again, a year older, and he's going to be a big part of that team and potentially to win back-to-back. Going against Western Michigan is going to be tough because they've got some really good players. It's going to be a good game to watch there too. Dayton, what about you for those four teams? Anyone you're kind of watching, kind of maybe on with the WHL playoffs going on too? But who would you be watching if you're watching this?
It's really hard not to watch Boston University. Man, do they have talent. Cole Hudson is their leading defensive scorer with 46 points in 37 games. They've also got Ryan Green, Cole Iserman, Shane LaChance, who was recently traded to the New Jersey Devils from the Oilers. They've got the other Jack Hughes, Tom Villander, and then a couple of draft eligibles in Sasha Boumedienne and Alexander Zetterberg, who wasn't drafted last year for some reason. Well, okay, we know the reason. It was because he's 5'8". But he was ranked as a second-round pick by the guy who loves big players, Craig Button.
Yeah.
So I don't know why he got passed over. He hasn't had the most successful season with only 8 points in 26 games, but he's a guy to at least keep an eye on to get a second look. It's just they are stacked. And their leading scorer, not even drafted. It's Cole and Lane's older brother, Quinn Hudson, who's got 50 points in 36 games. Probably not on a lot of draft radars. He is 23 already, but you never know, right? He's got good bloodlines.
Earn a contract, maybe.
Yeah.
You never know, right? There's always people looking.
Yeah, the Canadiens, you never know. Right?
Oh man, that'd be great.
Yeah.
The Avs drafted Taylor McCarr, and he just signed a NHL contract here. But then you go down to their goaltending, Boston's goaltending, Mikhail Yegorov. He's got a .931 save percentage. Mm-hmm. The dude doesn't let pucks by him. Mm-hmm. He is very solid. And they've also been relying on their other goalie, Matthew Caron, a little bit. But I believe lately it's been mostly Yegorov, from what I can remember. As you hinted at, I have been mainly paying attention to the WHL playoffs. But I do try to scan around. I'm not just singular focused. I'm just mostly focused.
Yeah, well, I'll be hoping that Tom Villander can, get a national championship. I want to see him in the NHL. Won't be this season, unless they sign him really quick and he plays in one of the last few games of the Canucks season here. He could be in Abbotsford, depending on. That's what Elias Pettersson. He came over from Sweden, played a game in AHL, and you're looking at a lot of the NCAA guys do this. So, if Villander can, sign his ELC, that's not a guarantee yet. Like I said before, he might even want to have another year in college. Who knows? Quinn Hughes came after 2 years. They're assuming that Villander is going to take the same route, but he also forewent staying in Sweden to come to the NCAA. We'll see how many years he wanted to go. But that's going to be something to watch and see if Willander can make it to the final. If he does, then he won't be in the NHL this season, and we'll wait for next season. All right, let's go to the aforementioned CHL playoffs, and I'm just going to keep this as a blanket thing, and I'll start with you, Dayton. Of course, we're probably going to focus on the WHL, but any surprises, standouts, anything you want to talk about so far? I mean, I know the Saskatoon Blades were swept out of the Calgary Hitmen. We kind of, in our preview, we were kind of hinting at that. I don't think we said sweep. I think we said they were going to win one, at least. That didn't happen, unfortunately.
I was quite optimistic. I thought they would make it into quite a competitive series and push it to maybe 6 or 7 games. That certainly was not the case. They did keep it competitive. Unfortunately, they got bullied a little bit, and the Calgary Hitmen are just better. They're older, they're more experienced. They added a ton of guys at the deadline, and the Blades sold, so it makes sense why they were at a significant disadvantage. But they looked really good when they were playing to their top abilities, and they scared Calgary a little bit when they got there. But some pretty bad penalty calls and just some bad bounces really kind of ruined any sort of momentum they could gain during the games. And yeah, it was a fun series to watch. Frustrating, but a lot of them kept it pretty optimistic at the end, working on a piece to kind of reflect on that. There were some really good quotes after the game, so stay tuned for that. Other surprises. The Seattle Thunderbirds turned the series that I thought was a guaranteed sweep into a series. That just ended last night, and it was a 6 games, excuse me. But those 6 games, it ended on a 1-0 double overtime victory for the Everett Silvertips. Talk about a nail biter. Like, those are 2 teams that want it more than anything. And I'm surprised that Seattle turned it into a series. There we go. Yeah. And I think it was really noticeable that Carter Bear was not with the Everett Silvertips. He is a lot more impactful than I think I initially suspected watching some of his highlights. Like, he's a really good draft eligible prospect. He's probably going to go top 10 based on some rankings I've seen, but he is much more important on this team than I thought. Some other guys over in Victoria really noticed Cole Reshny. That's a kid to keep watch for the NHL draft. He is so good. He thinks so much quicker than anyone else on the ice. And he's setting up plays that I didn't know you could set up. I was really impressed with some of the stuff that I watched from him. Also, their goalie, Johnny Hicks. He's a 19-year-old, not drafted. He's going to Tennessee State University next season. But he's been really hard to beat. And he's a big reason why they were able to get by a pretty tough Tri-City team very easily. Tri-City only managed 1 win against the Victoria Royals, and Victoria was ranked 2nd overall, or not in the Western Conference, I should add. But no, they've been really, really strong. Of course, we have to mention the person that we always talk about. Gavin McKenna has been continuously ridiculous. He leads playoff scoring, technically tied, but his points per game is 3.2. He's got 16 points in 5 games. It's been nuts. I'm surprised that Swift Current snuck a win in there. But it was the first game at home. I think they had that advantage, and they surprised him. That's sometimes how it goes. Oh, sorry about that. Gotta love the phone calls that just show up. Give me a second. There, it's mute now. He is tied with the Portland Winterhawks defenseman Tyson Jugnoff, another guy who's he's really surprised as a very solid prospect. You'll never guess who he's picked by. That's correct, the Seattle Kraken. But he had 89 points this season as a defenseman. And he's got 16 points in 7 games right now. He'll be going to Western Michigan next season, which is interesting for a drafted prospect to be going to a university. But, that's how it goes sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew Cristall's been really good. Berkeley Catton's been really good. Carter Yakimchuk has been really good. Hasn't shown up on the score sheet, but he's been a big part of why the Calgary Hitmen have been so strong. He's just so solid. He doesn't make mistakes. Like, that was one of my big concerns last year was he's really inconsistent. Not so much anymore. Very, very consistent. And I really appreciated that. Okay. I think I'll limit my my standouts for that, and we can talk more about them later.
Sounds good. Yeah, well, every week on the show we'll touch in and check in on all the playoffs, so we'll have plenty more to talk about. Only series that's going on in the WHL right now, which will be wrapped up by the time you guys watch this, that is the Prince Albert Raiders, Edmonton Oil Kings tied at 3, going Game 7 going on in a couple hours here. So that one, I think we were saying that was supposed to be over already, but it's going to Game 7. Oil Kings are putting up a fight.
Yeah,
so,
I think it's just a testament to how strong that Central Division is, because Edmonton was a 7th seed, Prince Albert the 2nd, and they've made a series out of it. So I guess it's, when you play against Medicine Hat and Lethbridge and Calgary, you tend to pick up a few things, whereas Prince Albert was playing against Moose Jaw and Regina a lot. So a little bit of a difference in competition. It's showing. I think Prince Albert can do it. They've got some higher end, but it's been a fun series, that's for sure.
Yeah, Medicine Hat waiting on that series to end for their next opponent. The rest of the series are ready to go. So Calgary Hitmen, Lethbridge Hurricanes, Silvertips and the Winterhawks, and the Spokane Chiefs and Victoria Royals. The other series going to be in the second round. So second round is going to start pretty quick here. All right, Peter, what about you for standout surprises, probably from the OHL playoffs, but you can go elsewhere. What do you want to kind of talk about?
Yeah, I mean, I know I touched up on this previously before or last week with the possibility of the Erie or the Saginaw Spirit possibly getting eliminated by the Erie Otters. And yeah, it wasn't a sweep, but it was a just saw the guest appearance right there. I can't help but notice that.
Yeah.
The
cat things.
Cat wants to get on the hockey talk. That's perfect. Yeah, the Saginaw Spear basically losing to the Erie Otters without Matthew Schaefer. And I mean, that's just basically very big, considering that Misa was healthy. You had a lot of depth on that team, and all of a sudden it just didn't quite have the same spark that they had throughout the regular season as they did in the postseason. And great for like that. I mean, it was kind of like an evenly match. I believe we talked, it was like the 4 or 5 seed. It was a close matchup. Yeah. It was like, it wasn't like a major upset, but considering that Saginaw was the higher seed, you probably expected them to win. But now I guess it's Team Canada's fortune, because now there's a possibility that Michael Misa could join them for the U18 tournament. Yeah. That would be an absolute massive get for them. Yeah. I'm sure he would love to be in the OHL postseason, but that's still a bit of a shocker considering the depth and the scoring presence that Saginaw had with all the offensive firepower that they had. A little bit of a surprise right there. Another surprise is I'm looking through like the stat record or the stat breakdowns, and there are a lot of players that are basically having Cy Young like numbers, which is, I'm going to count that as like, high win ratio. But in this case, it's a high goal ratio compared to the assist ratio, where Noah Morneau, Windsor, has 8 goals and 3 assists. Anthony Romani, 8 goals, 1 assist. Nick Lardis, 7 goals, 2 assists. Carson Rakoff, 7 goals, 1 assist. It's amazing how a lot of these teams or players are finding the back of the net so easily. Maybe not so much for Rakoff and Brampton because they got eliminated by the Oshawa Generals in 6 games. But for a lot of these players to be above a goal per game is really impressive. And it just basically shows that they're big time gamers. They're going to be the ones that you could rely on in key situations that can make a big impact. One more player-specific one. I'm going to go to the Oshawa Generals for a quick second, and the team leader in scoring right now has 12 points in 6 games, and it wasn't Colby Barlow. He just fell short of 11. It wasn't Callum Ritchie. It wasn't Becca Seneca because he has dealt with a few injuries. He was scratched a few times, but it was Owen Griffin, 12 points in 6 games, and I believe he was ranked 197th by Central Scouting among North American skaters. If there's a player that improved their draft stock right now, it is definitely Owen Griffin, because he stood out big time in that series against the Brampton Steelheads, against Rakoff, against the likes of Martone and Luke Misa and everybody else on that team, and he shined big time. And I instantly took note of his play during the OHL Top Prospects game, the Connor McDavid Top Prospects game. And he looked really solid in that game where he was playing his style, wasn't doing too much. He may not be flashy, but he's a hard worker and he does everything so well. And it's carrying over into the postseason right now, where he's getting that opportunity. He's running away with it, and he's becoming an important. I mean, you have the core players focus on the likes of Seneca, Barlow, Ritchie, all them. But Griffin's starting to become that name where you got to watch out for it, because he's slowly elevating his play and his value as a potential draft pick in this year's draft. So those are the things that really surprised me overall. And in terms of, the breakdown and everything like that for the second round matchups, I'm focusing on Brantford and Oshawa because of the offensive depth that you have with the aforementioned players I mentioned on Oshawa. I'm not going to mention them, but Jake O'Brien, Nick Lardis, with the seasons that they had, and Nick Lardis scoring 70 plus goals this year. It's impressive that you're going to see a bunch of top tier players go head to head with one of the top goal scorers with a great balanced lineup with the Oshawa Generals. It's really impressive to see that. Again, the Erie Otters, can they keep this momentum going forward? They, again, knocked Saginaw out in 5 games, and you're going up against another powerhouse in the London Knights right now, where you have Denver Barkey, Sam Dickinson, Easton Cowan, a lot of plethora of drafted talent, and even NHL potential prospects in Alexei Medvedev, Henry Brisevich. You got a lot of solid players on that team right now, and this is a team that just fell short of a Memorial Cup, losing in the dying seconds, and you could rest assured that they want that OHL Cup again, or the OHL Championship. They want to get back to the Memorial Cup again as well. So that's going to be very interesting to see. And also, I'm going to give a shout out to my guy and a lot of prospect writers out there in Keishon Aitchison, who is just an absolute beast for the Barrie Colts in the first round series, going up against the Kingston Frontenacs again right now. Just a lot of, and I didn't even get to the other series in Windsor and Kitchener, which is very impressive because both Ilya Protas and Liam Greentree, I believe, both have 15 points. Kitchener very well rounded as well with solid depth. I've been a big fan of Jack Pridham ever since he came over, and he's just been absolutely lights out for them. So, yeah, the OHL semifinals or the second round is definitely getting very, very interesting right now. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on those 4 series.
Yeah, second round is going to be interesting. The only upset, like you mentioned, is that Erie getting out of the rest of them took care of their business pretty quickly. Lots of sweeps, 5-game series. So we'll see if Erie can maybe pull off another upset against the London Knights, which would be the bigger one because the Knights are a definite powerhouse. So I mean, yeah, lots of great performances throughout the playoffs too. Like Anthony Romani, I mentioned him last week. Has the 8 goals. He's just been lights out in these playoffs to start. Showing flashes of what he was last season, putting up over 100 points and 50 goals. So, lots of fun still to come in the WHL, OHL, and the QMJHL. So yeah, keep an eye on all that. It's going to be lots of stuff still to come. And next week we'll talk more about that. But thanks, Peter. Thanks, Dayton, for coming on and talking playoffs, talking Demidov. We'll see him in the NHL soon. But make sure checking out everything at thehuggers.com. We got all the coverage, prospect coverage, of course, and draft stuff. We still got profiles rolling out every day. We're getting into, I believe we're getting closer and closer to 50. We might actually be over that right now. So
just followed short, 3 behind. So
there we go. We're close to 50 coming up. So yeah, I check out all the profiles we already have out, and every day Substack also keeps you updated with that and any other prospect articles we've got on the website. So make sure checking that. Until our next episode, we will see you next time.